and the case is expected to go to trial. We are honored to seek justice on their behalf. Couple of additional comments. On our website, as of right now, which is attorneysforfreedom.com, there are two videos that have just been posted. First is the main video of the actual incident in question, not the one that the city of Glendale posted from a distance, but the one that's been on TV for everyone to access. In addition, there's a new video which is being released today, which is also on our website. It shows one of the police officers involved in the incident at the hospital, and you will all see when he was asked what happened, he laughed. That video is also on our website. I also wanted to make a very brief statement about police officers generally. It has not escaped our attention that this incident has maybe justifiably so resulted in a backlash against police officers. We are concerned about that backlash. We want to make it clear that this case is not an indictment against all police officers. The position of this law firm has been and will remain that we are very pro-good police officer. We are also very anti-bad police officer. We urge everybody to keep that very important distinction in mind. We also are of the opinion, and this is my personal opinion, based on representing people in the criminal justice system for over 25 years now, that the vast majority of police officers are good people who try their best to do a good job. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to ask Anya Chapman to read her very brief statements, and then just a reminder to the press, she will not be taking any questions after her statement. Okay, small change in plans. Anya's asked Jody to read her statement, which Jody Broaddus will now do.
Jody, can you say and spell your name?
Sure. My name is Jody Broaddus, Jody with a Y, and my last name is Broaddus, B-R-O-A-D-D-U-S. And I am the supervising civil attorney here at the Attorneys for Freedom, and I'm going to be reading a statement from Ms. Chapman. Thank you for being here. This incident has been very traumatic for me and my family. We are continuing to try to recover from the terrifying events that occurred on that day. Johnny and I have been married for 9 years, but together for 22 years, and the officer's actions have torn my family apart. My children have been extremely impacted. To this day, they still have nightmares, and they are scared to even leave the house. We are doing our best to try to recover from the torment we suffered. Unfortunately, there are some officers who violate the public trust. I believe most officers are good and do their best to positively represent their communities, and we are thankful for their service. Thank you for your time.
Jody, do you want to do an update on the civil status of the case?
Yes, we filed a lawsuit in federal court, and from that point we have started, and we are in the discovery aspect of the case right now. The lawsuit's filed in the United States District Court for the District of Arizona, which has most of their record public, so anyone can go online and see what the status of the case is. We have done a scheduling order that has set out all the deadlines in the case. At this point, we do not have a trial date, but we are in the discovery stage and continuing on to try to get additional information and continue to investigate this matter. Thank you.
Is there a specific amount that's set in the amount that's being sought here?
There was an initial, we have tried to have some negotiations with the other side, but nothing has been responded to. In the actual lawsuit itself, it does not state a specific amount.
Is there a specific amount that's being sought after, a general amount that can be?
Not necessarily. We're open to listening to information and constantly reevaluating our position as we go forward.
Mark or Jody, either you can take this question. I'm just curious if you could speak to, look, there's a lot of things we're seeing in the body cam footage, but the one specifically where he is shocked in the testicles, does this rise to the level of sexual assault in your mind?
I think that is probably a question that's best put to the Maricopa County Attorney.
You keep mentioning trial and how you plan trial with this case? Would you be open to settlement, or are you going to go all the way to trial?
You know, Glendale has shown absolutely no interest in trying to resolve this case whatsoever. They had an opportunity to resolve it early on, but basically they chose to do nothing and mostly ignore us on the case. And so whatever offers we've put out there have been withdrawn. Our position right now is that the jury will decide what the value of this case is worth.
How many times have you been in contact with them?
Jody, you want to answer that one?
That's difficult to ask because we have so many communications and ongoing litigation, or there's been communications by our firm with their firm and their firm with us, but I don't want to get into the specifics of those communications because they are confidential.
Could you talk a little bit about their response, their press release that came out on Friday, and your reaction to that?
I think that the video speaks for itself and their press release speaks for itself, and so people can compare the two and decide how accurate their press release is as compared to the reality of what's on the video.
Mark, County Attorney's Office didn't move forward with any kind of charges against the officers here. In light of the video, does that surprise you? Do you feel like, you know, there should at least be another step forward from the County Attorney's Office? Is it surprising, shocking, your reaction to the fact that they decided that there wasn't enough evidence to move forward?
You want to address that one?
At this point, we don't know what information was provided to the county attorney's office to know why they do or do not want to prosecute. So at this point, it's hard to really comment on that.
I mean, you feel like looking at the video, you know, there's a very strong possibility that, you know, the officers could and should face some sort of criminal charges, and it's not what you say.
I certainly have my personal views on that. I don't know how the county attorney feels on that. Hopefully, they have all the evidence to look at, and as opposed to maybe a narrow clip of something.
Could you talk to us a little about Mr. Wheatcroft and just kind of who he is, and maybe give us a little background about him? We know this is a traumatic experience, obviously, but we also know he has a criminal past.
I can say this. When I first met Mr. Wheatcroft and asked him about this incident, it was extraordinarily difficult for him to talk about it, even though a substantial amount of time had passed. I found him to be very sincere and very humble about the experience, and I think that's all I'll say about that.
Mark, what do you make of the police department's claim that the officers acted the way they did in protecting officers' safety?
I think the video is out there, and the video is clear. And so anybody who watches that video and compares that with the statement that Glendale released will come to their own conclusion, which to me seems obvious.
And looking at that video, I mean, tasing, testicles, clearly not something that's taught in the police academy.
Yeah, this is a question that's will be answered in court, I think, and there'll be many experts who will be talking about this, I think, in the coming days, weeks, and months.
Did they ask him for his ID first?
What was the question?
Did the police officers ask him for his ID first?
Yeah, I think that's on the video. I think we can see.
I didn't see the videos on that.
Oh, yeah, that's on the video very clearly.
And did he deny it, or did he just give it to him and they...
Well, on the video, you can see that Mr. Wheatcroft simply asks, why would I have to give my ID? Why do I have to give my ID? I didn't do anything wrong, which I think one would say is perfectly in compliance with Arizona law. I can tell you this, Arizona law requires the driver of a vehicle who's subject to a traffic stop to produce their driver's license. It also requires somebody who is detained with reasonable suspicion of committing a criminal offense to give their true full name. It does not require a passenger in a vehicle who is properly seatbelted, as was Mr. Wheatcroft, to provide their ID.
Mark, I just want to ask, you've been doing this a long time. We've seen a lot of cases here in Arizona and across the country. You know, in your opinion, is this one of the more egregious situations involving what you feel is police brutality? How would you classify it?
I don't think it would shock anybody to hear me say, yes, this is egregious. I think that's obvious.
No, I mean, is this worse than any that you've seen or that you've had case-wise? I'm just trying to get a gauge as to, your opinion as far as how this compares.
It would be hard for me to think of a case that I would personally consider more egregious, but I think the video speaks for itself.
The second video that you were referencing about the police locking the hospital, it's not on your website currently. Is is that being uploaded sometime this afternoon?
By the end of this press conference, it will be available on my website.
Glendale
If not, then shortly after that, minutes after that.
Glendale Police will have a press briefing at 2:30. They do speak about more footage. Any idea what this is about?
Do you want to address that one? More
Okay.
footage? Yeah.
All the officers that arrived, there's various body cam footage, and I think the ones you've seen are just a couple of the videos. There are numerous videos from body cams. There was a surveillance video, which Glendale had a snippet of. They didn't show the whole thing, so they may be showing the whole one of that. I'm not quite sure.
Have you seen all of the body cam footage, or are we going to be surprised at a different perspective, shows something that we haven't seen from you?
You may be surprised, but I don't think in a negative perspective from our view.
And Mark and Jody, either one of you, I guess a lot of people are asking, how come it's taken so long for this case to come out? I mean, obviously Glendale didn't want to release it, but how come so long before the information, the video, and everything released to the public?
Well, I can say we weren't the first law firm on the case, and so quite a bit of time passed before this law firm actually received the case. And then we wanted to ensure we were complying with all the rules at the time. And discovery was just made in the civil case very, very recently. So that's, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. Okay.
Do you think Glendale PD hoped that this video never would have come out?
You'll have to ask Glendale PD on that.
Can you guys speak to the fact that this officer was suspended for 3 days and is still on the job? Your thoughts?
That would be a wonderful question when litigation is over. I have a lot to say about that issue, but I think for right now I'm going to pass on that question. Look, we're very concerned about making sure that we comply with the rules because the rules make a lot of sense. We want to make sure that everybody gets a fair trial here, and so I'm going to pass on that question for right now. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you all very much for coming here. And if that video's not on our site right now, it will be within minutes.
So we'll be able to pull that down from your website, or you're going to hand
From
that
our
out?
website. Yeah, we have some statements too, the written statements I think we can pass out. Have you guys received those yet? All right, let me get those passed out.